They burned his body like they burned our name, with smoke, silence, and no one daring to say the truth. The pyre roared high above the stone square, licking at the sky as if the flames themselves were angry. People watched in solemn rows, hands folded, expressions carved from the same rock that surrounded this place. The village hadn't changed in 15 years. Still hidden in the valley. Still framed by cliffs and trees older than memory. And yet, I was the only ghost here. No one looked at me directly. No one whispered my name. They had erased it so cleanly, it was like I had never existed. I stood at the back, dressed in black like everyone else. My coat too thin for the cold. Maybe that was punishment. For coming back, for daring to stand on sacred ground when I had been cast out. I clenched my hands in my pockets. My wolf stirred, weak, groggy, like something drugged and barely alive. I hadn't shifted in years. I hadn't let him surface, not since the day they called my father a traitor and forced us to flee. And when my mother died, I buried the rest of him with her. But now the air smelled like ash and judgment. Now I was back in the village that hated me. And my grandfather, the last true alpha of the Ridgeback clan, was dead. Cowards, my wolf whispered faintly from somewhere deep inside. They bury power in dirt and pretend it won't grow back. Matthew Sloan. The name dropped like ice into a fire. I turned. The crowd parted, reluctantly. And there he stood. Tall, iron-backed, eyes sharp as frost. The current alpha. Not my grandfather. No. This man had taken control after my father's exile, married into the bloodline, and made sure everyone forgot who had been born with the legacy. He stepped forward, voice raised enough to carry. You stand here as a witness to the passing of a great leader, he said, and his tone was almost kind, until it wasn't. But let it be clear to all that Matthew is here only as a guest. As an observer. Some of the elders nodded. Others looked away. Welcome, he added, with a smile that had no warmth. And farewell. The message was obvious. Don't stay. Don't speak. Don't think we owe you anything. I said nothing. Just inclined my head, the way my mother taught me to do when cornered by wolves stronger than me. Then I stepped back again, into the shade, where no one would see the shaking in my hands. And that's when I saw her. She was standing on the edge of the platform, close to the fire, close to the alpha. Tall, poised, wearing a long dark coat with silver embroidery, a warrior's crest pinned at the collar. Her hair was tied back, thick, golden brown, streaked by sun and battle. Her eyes were a storm, gray, with lightning behind them. She looked at me, just for a second, not with hatred, not with recognition, but with curiosity, sharp, piercing, unblinking, and something inside me flinched. My wolf twitched, then growled, then whimpered all in the space of a breath. I hadn't felt that in over a decade. I hadn't wanted to. She turned away before I could move, before I could remember how to breathe. I stood frozen, the fire cracking in the distance, the alpha's eulogy fading into a drone. My fingers curled tighter into fists, nails biting into my palms. That girl. She didn't know who I was. And maybe that was good. Maybe that meant I could stay, just long enough to say goodbye, just long enough to make peace with a name that no one spoke anymore. But something told me peace was not why I was here. And she would not stay a stranger for long. The first thing I noticed was how she moved, like the wind could catch on her shoulders but never knock her down. She wasn't just skilled. She was born for this. On the open training field, surrounded by pine trees in the faint mist of morning, she moved through a combat sequence with a grace that wasn't just learned. Her boots struck dirt without sound. Her arms flowed from block to strike to counter like music. The others around her, a dozen younger wolves, tried to match her, but none could hold her pace. And she didn't let them. Again she snapped, tossing her sparring partner to the ground with a twist of her wrist. Her voice was low, clipped. You're hesitating. You do that in a fight, you'll be on your back with a throat missing. Yes, Captain. The boy groaned. She offered him a hand, not kindly, not cruelly, just as a matter of fact. Then turned on her heel and signaled for the next. I stayed behind the trees, watching, listening. I didn't know why I came. Maybe I wanted to see her again, just to prove that yesterday was a mistake. That the way my wolf reacted was just shock. But no. He stirred the second I saw her. Awake. Attentive. Ready? She's not like them, he murmured inside me. She's real. I shook the thought away. I didn't have time for fantasy. I was here for one reason, to say goodbye. And then disappear again. One of the younger trainees broke rank, clumsy and overconfident, charging with more pride than skill. He lost his footing mid-lunge, slipping in the wet grass, straight into the path of another trainee's swing. He didn't see the danger coming. But I did. I was moving before I thought. I cleared the edge of the training ring, caught the kid by the shoulder, yanked him sideways, just in time. The wooden staff meant for his ribs skimmed harmlessly through the air where he had been. Silence. Then voices. Who? Where did he come from? What the? She turned to me, narrowed eyes, shoulders squared. I met her gaze. Up close, her eyes were even sharper. Not just stormy, intelligent, calculating. You shouldn't be here, she said. Calm, but firm. This field is for warriors. I let go of the boy, who stumbled behind me. He was about to take a hit. I saw, but you didn't stop it. I would have, she replied, without blinking. But now we'll never know. A beat passed. The trainees were still staring. She waved a hand, dismissing them. They scattered, reluctantly, glancing back over their shoulders at me. She stepped closer. So, who are you? I hesitated. Just a second too long. Tell her, my wolf urged. Tell her who you are. But I couldn't. Not yet. Not while I still felt like a ghost in this place. Just a distant relative, I said. Back to pay respects. Her jaw tensed. Funny. Most of the pack knows every bloodline down to the third cousin. You don't look familiar. I've been gone a long time. Apparently. I almost smiled. She didn't back down. Not in tone, not in presence. She was exactly the kind of wolf who didn't trust easily, and wouldn't be impressed by charm or reputation. She circled me slowly, eyes scanning. You moved fast, she said. Too fast for someone who claims he's not a fighter. I shrugged. Instinct. Instinct, she echoed. Dangerous thing, if you don't know how to leash it. She stopped in front of me again. Closer now. Her scent hit me like heat. Pine needles and clean air, edged with something darker. Her presence was sharp as a blade, and for a moment, I wondered if she could hear the pounding in my chest. Something in her shifted. Just for a second. Confusion? Recognition? No, not quite. More like disruption. She took a step back, blinking. I didn't say anything. Neither did she. Whatever just passed between us, we both pretended it didn't. I suggest, she said finally, voice tighter than before. You stay clear of training grounds unless you're invited. Not everyone here is as forgiving. I can handle a few angry stares, I said. I meant fists, not stares. Her mouth twitched. Not a smile, but something close. She turned away. I watched her go, the line of her back straight, her steps exact. My wolf didn't growl this time. He simply whispered, "Mate." I forced the word down, buried it. She didn't know me, and if she ever found out, she might hate me. Home is the place they turned into a ghost, and told you it was your fault. The cabin stood where it always had, on the far edge of the forest, just before the slope turned steep, and the trees thickened into wild, unspeaking woods. But it looked smaller now, as if time had pressed down on it, until the roof sagged like tired shoulders, and the porch steps cracked with every breeze. I stood at the edge of the path for a long time before stepping in. The door creaked open, and dust greeted me like an old enemy. The air was stale, cold, still carrying the faintest scent of pine, wax, and ash, a scent that used to mean safety, warmth, a fire at night, and my mother humming quietly as she cooked. Now it just smelled like ruin. The floorboards groaned under my boots. Most of the furniture was gone or broken. The stone hearth was cold. One of the windows was cracked, letting in a line of filtered light and a steady breeze that danced with the cobwebs. It shouldn't have hurt, But it did. I walked through the single room in silence, every step tracing old memories like bruises. There, the spot where I used to sleep curled up in a blanket too small. There, the table where my father used to sharpen his knives in silence. And there, a wooden chest half hidden beneath the floorboard seam. I paused. I hadn't seen that before. Something in me stirred. Not thought. Instinct. My wolf, rousing from his dull sleep. "There," he whispered. "That's ours." I knelt, pried at the board with my fingers until it lifted with a soft snap. Beneath it, a small iron box, rusted at the hinges. My heart thudded. I opened it. Letters. Dozens of them, stacked and tied with faded ribbon. My mother's handwriting, flowing, careful. Some addressed to no one, some never sent. I picked one at random, unfolded it slowly. "He's growing fast. He doesn't howl at night anymore. Sometimes I think he's stronger than either of us were. But I can't let him know. Not yet. Not while it's dangerous." I read 3 more. Each one, a quiet piece of her. Of a woman who'd carried a name that no one dared say aloud after my father was exiled. A woman who tried to keep me safe by making me forget what I was. At the very bottom of the stack, a thicker envelope. No stamp. No address. Just my name on the front, written in a heavier hand, not hers. I knew that handwriting. I hadn't seen it in over a decade. My grandfather's. My hands trembled as I opened it. "If you're reading this, you survived, despite them, despite what they did. That means you still have a choice. They'll tell you your name is gone, that your blood means nothing. But you are mine. And my line doesn't end in silence. Come back when you're ready, take nothing from them. Take back what's yours." That was all. No signature, no map, no promises, just a message, and a flame that lit somewhere low in my chest, steady and unfamiliar. My wolf roared awake. Not loud, not wild, but clear, present. He wasn't broken. He wasn't dead. He had just been waiting, for a reason. And I suddenly felt something I hadn't in years. Anger. Not at myself. At them. At the ones who cast me out, rewrote the story, and dared to pretend I was never there. I stood in the wreckage of a home they tried to erase, holding words they'd buried. And something inside me clicked into place. I wasn't staying because of the funeral, or the girl, or even the pull of territory. I was staying because something was mine. And I wasn't done yet. Just a few more days. Just long enough to see what they'd do next. And if they thought I was still that silent boy they sent away, they were about to be disappointed. A wolf who forgets his name is still a wolf. And some names are written in blood. The council hall sat beneath the mountain's edge, a stone structure carved into the land like a wound that never closed. Firelight danced along the walls, flickering against the carved symbols of every alpha that came before. My grandfather's mark was high on the center pillar. My father's? Chiseled out. I felt it as soon as I walked in. The heat, the tension, the unsaid things. The alpha was already waiting. He stood in front of the long table flanked by the council, 7 elders, each with a voice, each with a vote. Behind them, guards lined the walls. Not a protection, a threat. I wasn't invited. I was summoned. "Matthew," the alpha said, his voice echoing slightly in the chamber. "It's been a long time." I didn't respond, not with words. He smiled. A thin, sharpened thing. "We hoped you would attend the funeral. Tradition matters. Even to those who've lost their place." There it was, the first cut. I stepped forward. "You didn't call me here to talk about tradition." "No," he agreed. "We called you because the council has questions, concerns. You carry blood that once ruled here, and while no one believes you have a claim, some may grow curious." He turned to the elders. "For the sake of clarity, we thought it best to lay the matter to rest. Permanently," one of the elders muttered. Another leaned forward. "You say you don't seek power. That you came only to mourn." "I did," I said. "But I won't let you rewrite history while I'm breathing." The alpha's eyes narrowed. "Then perhaps you'd like to prove that blood of yours still means something." I knew what this was. They wanted a test, a challenge. Not to lift me up, but to break me down in front of witnesses. My wolf bristled under my skin. "Let me show them," he growled. "Let me remind them who we are." "Not yet. I don't need to prove anything," I said. "I didn't come for a throne. I came because my grandfather died. And because this place used to be home." Silence. Then, low footsteps behind me. I turned and saw her. She stood in the entry, still in training gear, hair damp from morning drills. Her gaze flicked between us, sharp and unreadable. "What's going on?" she asked. The alpha didn't turn. "Council business." Her eyes landed on me. "Why is he here?" I didn't answer. Couldn't. But something in her expression shifted. Doubt, suspicion, maybe something closer to knowing. She felt the weight in the air, the pulse of challenge. She didn't speak again, but she stayed, watching. The alpha looked pleased. "Fine," he said at last. "If you won't fight for the right, you won't have the chance again. Leave by sunset tomorrow, or be declared rogue." I almost laughed. 15 years of silence, and now they were afraid I might exist too loudly. I turned to the council. "You want me gone, say it. But don't pretend you're protecting tradition. You're protecting your own power." The elder in the center, a woman with silver hair and eyes like steel, finally spoke. "Words mean little, boy. Let the blood speak. You will fight at the choosing ceremony, as is your right, or you will be forgotten again." My wolf surged. "Let me roar." I held him back. Barely. I looked once more at the girl in the doorway. She hadn't moved. But her hand hovered near the knife at her hip. Not afraid, just ready. "I'll stay," I said. The alpha tilted his head, amused. "You sure? We wouldn't want you to be humiliated twice." I smiled. "Just enough. I'm not the one pretending I'm not afraid." Her scent was in my lungs. Her eyes, in my head. My wolf was screaming a name I didn't dare say aloud. The trees closed in around us, dark silhouettes against the moonlit sky. Wind whispered through the leaves, carrying the sharp, earthy scent of wet bark and something warmer, something alive. Her. She moved ahead of me, silent and sure-footed, scanning the forest with the precision of someone born to lead. Her shoulders were tense, focused. The others in the hunting party had scattered into smaller groups hours ago. She and I were left tracking a rogue buck through the northern ridge, alone, which was a problem, because the longer I was near her, the more my wolf pressed at the edges of my control, pushing, growling, demanding. He didn't understand patience or danger. He only understood her. She stopped abruptly, crouched low beside a tree, and held out a hand. Palm flat. I obeyed without question, halting behind her. I could feel her heartbeat from here, fast, steady, like a war drum under silk. We waited in the silence, listening for the buck's steps. "I heard it," she whispered. "East Ridge. Light tread, fast." "You're sure it's not another scout?" I asked. She gave me a sideways look, not amused. "I know what I heard." And she was right. A second later, the sound of hooves cutting across wet ground echoed low through the trees. She moved like lightning, and I followed. Not because I had to, but because I couldn't not. We ran side by side, and for a few heartbeats, the world narrowed to just breath and motion, and the sound of two wolves who didn't yet know they were circling the same truth. Then we stopped, too suddenly. The buck was gone. Or maybe never there. She cursed under her breath, turning to scan the woods again, frustration in every line of her body. The wind shifted. I caught her scent full in the chest. Pine and steel and wildness. My wolf surged. "Now," he growled. "Touch her. Show her." But I didn't move. She looked at me then. Really looked. Her brow furrowed. "What's going on with you?" she asked, voice lower than before. "Every time I turn around, you're just watching me. Like you know something I don't." I opened my mouth. Closed it. She stepped closer. "You move like a warrior. You track like someone born to it. But you say you're just here to visit? Doesn't add up." "It doesn't have to," I said, softer than I meant to. Not tonight. She was close now. Too close. The moonlight carved silver lines along her jaw, and her eyes flickered, not with suspicion anymore, but something else. Something dangerous. I should walk away, she said. That's what I should do. Then do it. She didn't. Instead, her gaze dropped to my mouth, then back up. The air between us cracked. My breath caught. Her lips parted slightly. And I almost did it. Almost leaned in. Almost gave in to the roar inside my chest. Almost told her what she was to me. But then I heard it. A dry laugh. Cutting through the night. Well, this is cozy. We broke apart instantly. A third figure emerged from the trees. Tall, smirking, eyes narrowed with something sharper than amusement. Her friend, the one I'd seen beside her at the ceremony. His scent screamed jealousy. Didn't realize you were giving private lessons now, he said, looking between us. Or is this part of the training I missed? She stiffened. Her tone turned instantly cool. We got separated from the group. Tracking a buck? Sure you were. He stepped closer. You okay though? This guy bothering you? I said nothing. My hands clenched behind my back. She shot him a look. No, he's not bothering me. But she wouldn't meet my eyes. Not now. The tension snapped. She stepped back. We should get back. Hunt's done. She turned and walked. Fast. Brushing past both of us without another word. Her friend lingered just long enough to give me a look that said stay out of it, or else. Then he followed her into the trees, leaving me alone in the dark. My wolf snarled inside me. She felt it, he said. She knows. But knowing and wanting weren't always the same thing. I woke up on the floor, claws out, breath steaming. The door was scratched. The mirror shattered. I didn't remember how. The storm outside was still raging. Thunder cracked like the world splitting open, and rain lashed against the roof in violent bursts. My body ached. My shirt was torn across the back, and blood, my own, stained the floor beneath me. The shift had been partial, violent, uncontrolled. I hadn't even meant to fall asleep. One moment I was pacing, trying to calm the fury boiling inside me after the hunt. After her. The next, my vision had gone black. Now the cabin looked like something had tried to claw its way out of me, or maybe into me. My wolf was still near the surface, panting like a caged animal. She knows, he growled. You're hiding from her, from yourself. I dragged myself upright, wincing as my muscles fought back. My spine burned, ribs tight. The mark along my shoulder blade, half a gash, half a burn, was pulsing like fire beneath my skin. This wasn't sustainable. He was getting stronger, faster, louder. The more time I spent here, the more I stopped pretending I wasn't who I was. I splashed water on my face from the basin, but my reflection in the broken shards of mirror didn't look human. Not completely. My eyes, too bright. My posture, too wild. And then came the knock. I froze. Another knock. Firmer this time. Then the door creaked open without waiting for an answer. She stepped inside. Rain dripped from the edges of her cloak, hair damp against her cheeks. Her eyes scanned the room instantly, and then locked on me. On the blood. On the torn shirt. The wreckage. Her face tightened. I didn't think you'd answer, she said. I didn't, I replied, voice hoarse. She took a step forward. Are you hurt? I didn't answer. She looked down. Saw the claw marks on the floor, the scratches on the door, the gash across my back, and I knew the moment she understood. You shifted, she said quietly. Not a question. I said nothing. That wound. She stepped closer, reaching toward my back. You don't get that kind of tear unless. I said nothing, I repeated, sharper now. She flinched but didn't retreat. Her voice dropped. Why are you hiding it? You think no one would notice? You think I wouldn't? My breath caught. Her closeness was dangerous, not because she scared me, but because part of me wanted to tell her everything. That she was my mate. That I never stopped being one of them. That I had a name they buried, but it was still mine. But instead, I looked away. I'm not who you think I am, I said. No, she said softly. You're not. The words hurt more than I expected. She crossed her arms. You act like you're just passing through, but you fight like someone with history. You move like someone trained. You shift like someone who's done it more than once. She paused. And when you look at me, it's like you're holding something back so hard it's killing you. That was the worst part. She saw me. And still didn't know me. You need to leave, I said quietly. It's not safe here. Not for you. Not tonight. She didn't move. I'm not afraid of you, she said. I'm afraid of lies. Then she turned and walked out. The door closed with more finality than a slam. I stood there, alone again. The storm outside growing louder. My own storm still trapped beneath skin. My wolf curled tighter inside me. Not defeated, just waiting. And I knew, if I didn't tell her soon, I'd lose more than her trust. I'd lose the only part of me that still remembered what it felt like to be whole. The great hall was lit with golden fire. Long tables were filled with food, drink, and too many voices talking over each other. It was supposed to be a celebration, the official appointment of the new captain of the guard. Her. She stood at the head of the room beside her father, back straight, chin high, dressed in black and silver. A warrior's braid fell over her shoulder. The insignia of the guard, a blade through a crescent moon, gleamed on her chest. The crowd raised their mugs. The elders nodded approval. Even the Alpha smiled. A rare show of open pride. And I stood near the back, in the shadows where I always seemed to end up. She hadn't spoken to me since that night. I hadn't expected her to. The storm had taken more than my control. It had stripped away any chance of pretending that this could stay quiet much longer. Still, I hadn't expected what came next. Her friend stepped forward, lifting a glass in toast. To the fiercest fighter I know, he said, smirking. To someone who actually earned her place. Laughter. Applause. And then, he looked at me, and speaking of place, isn't it funny how some people show up at funerals and pretend to belong? The room stilled, slightly. Not enough to be obvious. Just enough to feel the temperature drop. She frowned, but didn't stop him. He kept going. Most of you don't know me well, he said. But I've known her since we were pups. I've trained beside her, fought beside her, trusted her. And I think she deserves to know who she's really been spending time with. He turned, slow and deliberate. Matthew Sloan, he said. Or should I say, Matthew, son of Elias Sloan. The traitor. Everything stopped. All breath. All sound. The word hit like stone through glass. I felt it first in my chest. The shift in pressure. The way the room tilted toward hostility. My eyes locked on hers. Her mouth parted slightly. Her eyes widened. No, she said softly. That's not. It is, her friend said, smiling without warmth. He's the reason your family was nearly destroyed. He's the reason your father was forced to lead. And now he's here, pretending to be one of us. Pretending not to be what he is. I never pretended, I said, stepping forward. She flinched. You never told me, she snapped. I wanted to, I said. But you know how this pack treats bloodlines. Don't twist this, she hissed. You lied. Every word, every look. You knew what they did to us. You knew, and you still. I was trying to survive. Her voice cracked. You don't get to say you care. Not after you lied with every breath. The Alpha stood now, voice booming. This is what happens when you let ghosts walk among the living. I want him gone. Several council members muttered in agreement. A few looked uncertain. One old woman watched me, eyes unreadable. I met the Alpha's gaze. I won't leave, I said. Until the right is done. There is no right for bastards of broken names, he growled. There is, said the elder woman, slowly. If his blood is true, and it is. All eyes turned to her. The room rippled. He's a direct descendant, she said. Like it or not, the law allows him to challenge. The Alpha snarled. You would risk this pack for a boy raised by humans? I would risk nothing, she replied. I would honor what the law demands. Silence. Then I turned to her, the girl who had once looked at me like I was something she didn't yet understand. I never meant to hurt you, I said. But I'm not sorry for coming back. You can hate me if you need to. Just don't confuse my silence with shame. She looked at me for a long time, then turned her back. The Alpha's voice was final. You want the right to stay? He said. Then earn it in blood. I nodded once. Then I'll see you on the field. I didn't want the throne. I wanted to stop bleeding every time someone said I didn't deserve to breathe. The arena was carved into the earth like an old scar, ringed with stone, open to the moon, and surrounded by wolves who wanted blood more than truth. The Alpha stood across from me, broad-shouldered, armored in dark leather, his expression unreadable. He had the stance of someone who had fought to hold his place, and never planned to give it up. I could feel the eyes of the council on us. The pack gathered in silence. No cheers, no murmurs. Only breath and tension, and the distant howl of something old in the woods. My shirt was gone. My skin hummed with power. My wolf was awake but calm. For the first time in years, he wasn't trying to take control. He was beside me. We fight together, he said. Not for them. For us. The horn blew. The Alpha came at me fast, brutal and efficient. He fought like a hammer. I fought like a storm. We clashed in the dirt, blow for blow, instinct for instinct. I blocked, twisted, struck. He countered, faster than I expected. He was strong, angry, terrified, because somewhere deep down, he knew what I was. What I had always been. A strike to my ribs. Pain flared. I stumbled. He grabbed my shoulder, claws raking down my back. My wolf surged. The shift hit me mid-motion, a burst of heat and bone and fury. But I didn't lose myself. I let the change roll through me, sharpening my senses, grounding my feet. My eyes met his, and I saw fear there, real fear. I moved faster now, cleaner. I ducked low, hooked his leg, brought him to the ground. He rolled, came up snarling, but his breath was ragged. I didn't want to kill him, but I had to end this. One final spin, a feint left, then a hard strike to the side. His footing broke. He dropped to one knee. I stood over him, chest heaving, claws out. He looked up at me, and I saw it. The second he realized he'd lost. But I didn't take the final blow. Instead, I stepped back. You can keep your pride, I said. I'm not here to humiliate you, just to stop pretending I don't exist. He stared at me, stunned. Then his head dropped, just enough. Not submission, but acknowledgement. The crowd was silent for a long time. Then the voice of the silver-haired elder broke through. Let it be recorded, by right and by blood. The Alpha stands. My name hadn't been said aloud yet. But it didn't matter, because I was no longer a ghost. I turned once, scanning the crowd, and caught her eyes across the ring. She didn't smile. But she didn't look away either. The first light of dawn cracked over the ridge, casting the valley in pale gold. From the cliffside above the village, everything looked smaller, softer. Even the arena, stained with yesterday's blood, looked almost peaceful from this height. I stood with the wind in my face, letting it carry the scent of pine, of smoke, of memory. Footsteps behind me. Quiet. Purposeful. I didn't turn. I wasn't sure you'd come, I said. I wasn't sure either, she replied. Her voice was even. Not angry, not soft, just careful. She stopped beside me, leaving a few feet of space between us. She crossed her arms and looked out over the land. This used to be my favorite place, she said. Before everything got so loud. I glanced at her. Still is for me. First time it's felt like home since I was a kid. A long pause. Then she said, You fought well. Thanks, I said, though I'd rather not make a habit of it. Another silence. I finally turned toward her, watching the wind lift strands of her hair. I should have told you the truth, I said. I was scared, not of you. Of what it would mean to say it out loud. That I was him. That I came from them. She didn't look at me. You think I'm mad because of who you are? I think you're mad because I lied. No, she said. I'm hurt because I trusted someone who never trusted me back. That landed like a blade I deserved. She finally turned her face to mine. But I also know why you did it. This place teaches you to hide the parts of yourself that don't fit the mold. Her voice softened. I wasn't afraid of your wolf, Matthew. I was afraid of how honest you were willing to be. When I wasn't, I looked at her, heart in my throat. You weren't just my mate, I said quietly. You were the part of me I buried when I thought survival meant silence. Her breath caught, just slightly. I don't want fate, she whispered. I don't want a bond because the moon says so. I want something chosen, real. Then choose me, I said. Not because you're supposed to. Because I'm standing here, asking you to. She searched my face. Every scar, every line, every part of me I'd spent years hiding. And then, finally, she nodded. Okay. Just that. One word, and everything cracked open. We stood side by side in silence, watching the sky brighten. After a while she asked, "What now?" I exhaled. Now I stop running. Now I use my name, not hide from it. Sloan, she said, testing the word. You're really taking it back? I never lost it, I said. They just made me afraid to say it. And the rest of the pack? They'll follow if I give them something worth following. She raised an eyebrow. And what's that? Unity, I said. No more separate bloodlines. No more old grudges. I want to bring the outliers in. The forgotten, the broken, the strong. She smiled, a real one this time. That sounds impossible. Good, I said. Then it's worth doing. The sun crested over the horizon, spilling gold across the trees. For the first time in years, I felt full, not just of power, but of purpose. I wasn't just the alpha now. I was myself. And she was with me, not because of instinct, because she chose to be. They called me forgotten. But she said my name, and it echoed like thunder. The clearing was full. Every alpha from every surrounding pack had come, some out of duty, others out of fear, most out of curiosity. I stood in the center of the open field, the wind brushing through the long grass. Fires ringed the space, casting warmth across gathered faces, wary, doubtful, waiting to see what I would say. She stood beside me, not behind, not below, beside, in silver and black, the insignia of the guard still at her chest, eyes clear and steady. When I looked at her, I didn't feel the need to hide anything anymore. I took a breath and stepped forward. My name is Matthew Sloan, I said. And yes, I am the son of Elias. The wolf you exiled, the alpha you erased. Murmurs rippled. I let them, then raised my voice. I didn't come back for revenge. I didn't come for a title. I came because hiding was no longer survival. It was death in slow motion. Silence. I met every gaze head on. You don't have to accept me, I continued. But you will hear me, because I am not here to rule over anyone. I am here to offer a different way. Someone scoffed. Another folded their arms. Good. That meant they were listening. For too long power has meant dominance. We've judged strength by bloodlines and silence by loyalty. We've punished difference, buried names, broken our own. A pause. A deep breath. I want something better. I turned slightly, extending a hand toward her. This is my equal. My mate, not because the moon told me, but because I chose her. And she chose me back. A few heads turned. She didn't flinch. She stepped closer. I don't want to be called a war chief or ruler or king, I said. I want to lead. And I want others to lead with me. The elder woman from the council, the one with silver hair and steel in her eyes, leaned forward slightly, watching. I propose something new, I said. A circle, not a throne. A seat at the table for every pack, including the ones we exiled, including the ones we feared. No more bloodline politics, No more ghost stories. I looked out across the crowd. Some stared at me with suspicion. Some with confusion. And a few with something close to hope. I'm not here because I want to fight, I said. I'm here because I stopped running. A long silence. Then, from the back, a single wolf howled. Then another, and another, voices rising in acknowledgement. Not submission. Recognition. I turned to her. She was already smiling. Later, when the crowd had broken, and the sun began its slow descent, we sat at the edge of the clearing, watching the young ones tumble in the grass. No rank. No fear. Just fur, and laughter, and sky. She leaned her shoulder into mine. You really going to give up the throne? She asked. There was never a throne, I said. Just a fear of being small. She tilted her head. And now? Now I know, I murmured. I didn't come back for power. I came back to stop pretending I didn't matter. She was quiet a moment. And do you? I smiled. Yeah. I do. The wind shifted. Somewhere, a pup yelped in delight. The fires crackled behind us. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't surviving. I was living.